Hey everyone, welcome to Big Outdoors. If you're new around here, my name is Sheldon Marion, and today's video, it's going to be kind of like a part 2 of a video I started a couple months back. It's just on how to make a tincture out of wild turkey tail mushrooms. If you want to see the first video, I'll put a little link up here in the top left corner. There'll also be a little link in the description below for you. Or if you just kind of want the short story of it, basically, I went out, picked some wild turkey tail mushrooms out of my yard, ground it up, threw it in this jar with a bunch of vodka, and let it sit for almost 2 months here now. And so now that the vodka has had time to really draw a lot of the nutrients out, we're going to get it all bottled up here and ready to go. And before we do that, we just need a couple of supplies. So what we have with us, to strain it out, I'm just going to use one of my game bags. If you don't have one of these game bags, cheesecloth works just as good, maybe even better. A little pot, because I'm going to be doing a double filtration or whatever you want to call it, where I'm going to take this, I'm going to strain this out, and then the leftover mushrooms I'm going to put in water and pretty well steep for maybe 15 minutes just to draw the rest out. Another thing that you're going to want is just these little eyedroppers. You can get these in all sorts of shapes and sizes and stuff. This I got from a little shop down in Chetwynd called Inner Sage. It's like a little headspace kind of hippie shop, whatever you want to call it. Basically, this one holds, I believe it's 2 or 3 ounces, and then the little eyedropper here, whatever it is, 2 to 4 milliliters per dropper. And I got a couple of them here, so we'll definitely be able to fill them up. Also, another thing that you're going to want is a small little funnel, and then something just to kind of scoop it out with to pour it in there, because pouring it from the pot into this little thing, that'll make a mess, and I'm sure I'm even going to make a mess with this one. So to start this off, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to grab this field dressing bag. I'm going to put it inside this pot here, get the mushrooms in there, and we'll start straining this out. So to start straining this out, basically what I did was I took my game bag and I kind of rolled it all up and put just the very bottom of it in here, and we'll take our mushrooms and we'll just dump it straight into here, and then we'll wring it out slightly. We're not gonna get too carried away, because then what I'm gonna be doing is basically I'm gonna kind of tie it off almost into like a giant tea bag, and I'm gonna put it into another pot just with some water in it and boil, so it has a double tincture. So to get this started, I'm just gonna clamp this right here and get this show on the road here. So with this, what I did was I put this just into a closet, and every few days go in, give her a little shake, and leave it. And that way what happens is it doesn't kind of compact and condense down to one spot. If you're constantly shaking it every couple of days, it just kind of loosens everything up, so that way you really get absolutely everything out of it. Just smells like kind of vodka, slight mushroom, earthy smell to it. I'm not going to get too carried away. Dump that out. Get the second one in here. What's surprising is after this has been in there for almost 2 months, it almost has like a slight fruity smell to it, which isn't the case with these mushrooms at all. These mushrooms are very earthy. It kind of just tastes like a regular raw mushroom almost. So now that we have all of our mushrooms here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this, pick it up, And then basically I'm just gonna wring this out. And like I said, I'm not gonna get too carried away. So as you can see, all the vodka's coming out. It's a brown color. Give her a bit of a squeeze here. And we're just gonna kind of try to strain this out. And we're almost done. Should be mentioned that if you're going to be doing this with your hands, you want to make sure that you don't have any cuts on your hand, and if you do, well, it's going to hurt, because that is vodka, you know. So now we have this pretty well strung out. One thing that you want to keep in mind when you're doing this, if you want to keep it shelf stable, pay attention to how much vodka you have in there. So in order to keep this shelf stable, you want to keep the alcohol content right around 20%. Anything lower than that, you have a good chance of growing bacteria. So with this, what we're going to do, with vodka being roughly 40%, you know, half and half is about the most you want to do. But seeing how, I just want to play it on the safe side. So looking at how much water that we have here, basically the rest of these mushrooms I'm going to put into a pot, and I'm just barely going to get them wet, and that way it doesn't water down that vodka too much. So in that way we'll hopefully still be around like 30-ish%. I'm sure if you had like an actual alcohol tester, you'd be able to know for sure. But seeing how we're just kind of backwood rednecks around here, we don't have that option. So we'll just keep that in mind. So basically what I did here was I just took our mushrooms out of there, threw them into this small pot. You can see just by straining them out, that alcohol is almost evaporated off these mushrooms already. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in just enough water to kind of make these guys wet. And then we'll get them onto the stove here, and we'll just simmer them for about 10 minutes. So with a little bit of water here, we got the stove turned on. And now we're just going to let these simmer for a little bit. And you don't really have to do this because the mushrooms are water soluble. It just helps pull out absolutely everything from this from the mushroom. So the alcohol will pull out whatever it is, say 90% of all the good stuff that's in the mushroom. Then this way it pulls out like that last 10% ish kind of a thing. It's not an exact science that I'm doing here, so take whatever I say with a little grain of salt. You know, I'm not a professional. I'm just a redneck with the camera, and you guys are kind of watching and learning with me, right? So anyways, we're gonna let this simmer for about 10 minutes, and then we'll pretty well repeat the process that we did with the first little dump. We'll put it all in here, string it all out, and then we'll get to bottling this up. So we've let this cool off here for a little bit now, and as you can see, the water is nice and brown. Looks like a really dark tea. And basically what I'm going to do is we're going to take the pot and just dump it into here. Underneath here we still have all of our vodka in there. So we'll try to dump out as much mushrooms as we can. The rest there, I'll just have to spoon it in. So basically now what we're going to do, we're going to repeat the process that we did when we first dumped it out from the vodka solution. And then just using our hands, we'll just simply twist and squeeze, and we're just going to get the rest of this out. There we go. So now that we got that all out of here, you can see it didn't add overly too much water. So we should still be around that kind of 30 some odd percent. I'm just going to grab my spoon here, do a little spin. There we go. Don't know if that did anything, but it's all mixed up now. So now what we're going to be doing is basically I got 3 of these small bottles, and then I have one really big one here as well. So if we need any extras, I got this really big sucker here. But for right now, I don't know, maybe we'll fill up that big one first, and then anything extra we'll put into these smaller little guys. So pretty well, I'm just going to take the tops off, grab my little funnel, put that in there, and then that's probably not going to work out overly too good. So that's where I got my little scooper from. So with this here, it's going to take a couple of scoops, but we'll get this one filled up, and then we'll start filling up the smaller ones. Well, we still managed to make a little bit of a mess, but it's not as bad as I thought. So now we have our jar filled right about here, just below the neck. There, we can even go like that. You can see the little floaty bits in there, but that's alright. That just means you got some mushroom in there. So there you go. That's our first bottle of tincture made up. If you guys are wanting to do this, but you don't like using alcohol, you can just make like a mushroom tea. You can also grind this mushroom up and turn it into little capsules. Also, if you're wanting to make a tincture, you can use vegetable glycerin. With that, you might be able to get it at a health food store. If not, you can find it on Amazon. And it does basically the same thing as the alcohol does. So if you're a recovering alcoholic, or you just don't like the taste of alcohol, or you're worried about your kids getting into it or anything like that, the vegetable glycerin would be the way to go. But anyways, same process, just a different solution. Well, here she is, guys. In total, we got 3 of these smaller bottles filled up. And with these bigger bottles, we got 2 of them filled right to the top, and one about 3/4 of the way. And truth be told, pouring it straight out of the pot, I made less of a mess. But anyways, what I'll do, I'll show you how to take this stuff. One way you can do it is you take an eyedropper of it and just throw it into like your cup of coffee, a cup of water, or you can just take it straight. What I'll do here, I need 2 hands for this, so just give me 2 seconds. So with this, you take your eyedropper, give her a squeeze, put it in the bottle, pick her up. You have your little eyedropper of tincture. Oh, lots of alcohol in that one. I'm not much of an alcohol drinker, so that's a pretty strong shot for me. But yeah, it's not a big deal at all. That one you could water down significantly more. That is very potent, strong stuff. So I could almost double my batch, but I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have enough bottles. But anyways, that's how you make a little simple alcohol tincture using wild mushrooms. And again, this is a part 2 video, so if you want to watch the first part where we were actually out in the yard picking the mushrooms off of a dead poplar, head to the little link that's in the description below. And yeah, that's that, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button down in the bottom. Leave me a comment or two. Let me know if you guys made this, or let me know if I've made any mistakes. And then subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one.